It's a new morning in America. Fresh, vital. The old cynicism is gone. We have faith in our leaders. We're optimistic as to what becomes of it all. It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism. There are no limits.
Every single person on Earth is a TI. Every single one. Every single soul is tracked from the cradle to the grave by advanced technology that you don't know exists. It's invisible to you and me. Okay, because why? Because these souls are the commodity that is, and also food and everything else. So we're here like cattle on a farm. Okay, the TIs are people that are very sensitive, who see through to the interdimensional. They see through to the other side of this thing. They get a glimpse of what's going on. They're like the people in They Live who can see without needing the glasses. So they're immediately targeted. We've got one who can see! And at that moment, the hive is on you.
I've got one that can see.
He's a tall Caucasian male, doesn't appear armed, wearing sunglasses.
Now the human beings on your planet are merely a resource, waiting to be converted into capital. And this entire enterprise is just a small part in a vast and beautiful machine defined by evolution, designed to a single purpose.
In your world, people are used to fighting for resources, like oil or minerals or land. But when you have access to the vastness of space, you realize there's only one resource worth fighting over, even killing for.
May the collectors never succeed in taking our spirit away. What do you mean by that, Karina?
Well, as you know, Whitley, and you've probably heard from others before, is that this subject, these beings, seem to take, and this is why I called it the collectors, they seem to collect all kinds of things from us. But it's not just on a physical level, like our blood and our eggs, the sperm, and stuff like that. This also includes your emotional, your spirit, your soul, so to speak, your essence. I remember specifically one incident where I was inside a ship and there was this huge column in the center of this room, and there were all like hundreds of what seemed to be little thin drawers in there. Anyways, to make the long story short, when I asked what was in there, I was told telepathically that it was the essence of man. And that has stayed with me forever, because I don't know exactly what they meant by that. Is it our spirit, our soul, our essence, or is it just DNA? When I got closer to the column, I had a very, very strong feeling that whatever was in there was extremely important to us. I had to know what was in there. I replied that one way or another, I was going to figure out what was in there. And as a couple of them were pulling me away, this taller one, who seemed to be a gray but taller than them, and had more of a bony structure in the face area, in the head area, he said to me telepathically, "It is the essence of man."
And you don't know whether it was the essence of a man or the essence of something, some kind of a record of the whole species.
No, I had a feeling this was not just one. This was hundreds, probably thousands, or God knows how many, because there were many, many, many drawers, and this was huge. This wasn't just a small column. This was very, very big.
Because I had the impression in my own close encounter experience that there was some kind of collection taking place.
Absolutely.
I had the feeling at times, Karina, and it was very disturbing, that maybe one of the things that was happening was that they were collecting us, our souls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have that feeling too?
I have to be honest, there is, yes, it's either our soul, or as he said, our essence, our spirit. There is something definitely that they are collecting, which
something
is not
that
on
is
the physical level.
Yeah, something that is beyond our understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you completely. There is something there like that.
There's many names. Regenex, Resal, Nectar. It comes from people.
The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, the machines had found all the energy they would ever need.
How many patients are there?
They're not patients.
But they're sick.
They were born sick. They're meant to be sick. They exist to be sick. Lab rats. No wonder the sisters have got a cure for everything. They built the ultimate research laboratory. A human farm.
The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
Just like you've seen documentaries in 8th grade science, how you saw the ants keeping aphids, these little green bugs, that they would stroke their back and the aphids would put out a liquid that the ants would eat. Just like we keep cows so we can eat them. Pigs. We farm them and eat their flesh and blood. So you'll create a whole planet of a managed Truman Show, a matrix that has a false reality.
You're the closest thing I ever had to a brother, Truman. I know that things haven't really worked out for either of us like we used to dream they would. I know that feeling when it's like everything's slipping away and you don't want to believe it, so you look for answers somewhere else, but
Well, the point is, I'd gladly walk in front of traffic for you.
the point is, I would gladly step in front of traffic for you, Truman.
And the last thing I'd ever do is lie to you.
And the last thing that I would ever do is lie to you. I mean, think about it, Truman. If everybody is in on it, I'd have to be in on it too.
You put it in with hokey religions. This is exactly what's happened on Earth. We have these ridiculous fanatical religions that prey on the fear of humans, of finding the right religion and willing to kill each other and bloodshed. The Abrahamic Anunnaki blood sacrifice religions. So, and you notice they're the ones that create the trouble. The Buddhists and the Hindus don't create that much trouble. Zen masters aren't likely that much to go to war with each other. But it's these fanatical sky god religions of avenging sky gods, fathers, that create the blood sacrifice religions. So Earth has been a galactic farm for a long time that galactic farmers have been using, feeding off our soul energies. Our fear mostly. This is why they actually like war and blood sacrifice. It is in the blood. They drink the blood literally, or the energy that creates the blood. What could be more powerful than 750 million blood cells every day being created in your bone marrow? That's a lot of life force in your bone marrow. The magic in Father's bones. The bones, the relics, the blood marrow factory. I'm exposing some nasty shit here, but this feeding off the blood. But even before the blood, the lifeblood, there is a life force, a life energy, the chi, the innocence. This is why stealing innocent life force is the highest commodity in the universe.
What are our body containers? What is our soul spirit entity? And what is the interest of non-humans in the container versus the soul? And what are they tracking about the soul spirit entity of Homo sapiens sapien? 17-year-old female teenager abductee taken by a large praying mantis to a room filled with sparkling yellow-white light. Quote, praying mantis being and light-filled room, I remembered the being slowly coming around the corner and facing me. He stood very still and simply waited as if he knew how frightening he appeared to me. Eventually, he began to talk to me in my mind telepathically. He seemed to possess a great deal of dignity and gave the impression of being quite old. He walked me to this room filled with dense light. The memory ends with me about to enter that room and the thought that I would be translated into the light. In this experience, she got to watch what she called a soul transfer from her human body that had a diseased heart from rheumatoid fever to a healthier clone version of herself, also as a teenager. The teenage clone made by the gray beings and the praying mantis creature was preserved in a transparent tube lighted from the top and the bottom that she referred to as a resurrection technology.
It's like, all right, I go to bed here at home. Mm-hmm. The next thing I know, I wake up and I'm there, but I'm in another body. Okay. And from what I can tell, and from other people whom I have spoken to about this, they have a similar situation.
Do you? Okay, so we can say that they created an extra you using your DNA, using your memory, using your soul, whatever it is.
Right. They're going to have to explain it. I can't. I don't know how they do it. I don't know anything about cloning or whatever. But I know that they made the body. And I don't know how they did it. So the body looks like about 19 or 20 years old.
Okay, was he walking, talking?
No. That body doesn't move until I'm in it. That's the only thing I can tell you. It's a lifeless cadaver. It's a corpse until my soul's energy, if you will, is inside it. And then it becomes...
How does it happen? Do you touch it?
I think the insect being has something to do with that.
You're giving me great little footprints. We're getting your creases and everything. One more. Here.
The one I didn't have memorized is the
Oh, no. We're all done with the toes, though. I promise.
So you see your birth certificate, American Banknote Company. When you were born, they took the soul from you. Your parents gave it up willingly, and they put you down as a stillborn, lost at sea, dead. You gave up the land, you gave up the soul that you have. You have to pay for everything now. You can't see it. You're just going to go along as a silly human slave for the rest of your life because you're filthy fucking retarded.
What happened was this guy and the Catholic Church, always desiring to control with their inquisitions, decided that they would create the first express trust in history. All right, that trust is called Unum Sanctum. What does the papal bull say that they created to stick in their vault and put their spell on that has cursed us so much, this Unum Sanctum? It says that all the world and all the souls in it are ours. Remember the right of claim? This is mine. Well, a claim of right. They made a claim of right. They rocked up, sitting on top of the world, look around, seeing all these people sleeping, got all these gold in their vaults and all this power, and they said, we own the world. And so they do, because no one has challenged that. No one has challenged Unum Sanctum, this papal bull. It's in the vaults. And it's a curse on mankind, and I'll show you how. This was the first express trust in history. So they have claimed the whole world and all the souls therein. And you will see, by virtue of your birth certificate, that that is the title of your soul that they own in their registries. Okay, in 1455, we have a testamentary trust created. The first testamentary trust in history. That was Nicholas V, Pope Nicholas V, 1455. This was, bear in mind at the time, it's only like 20 or 30 years before Christopher Columbus sailed off to discover the Americas, right? This trust, this testamentary trust, which conveyed all of this property that the Vatican claimed, the whole world, they conveyed it into this trust. It's the trust that claims all your real estate. You know those titles you have? You don't own it. You own nothing. You do not own a thing. Well, you can't anyway. They're molecules. They belong to the universe, for a start. But the Vatican knows this. They know you can't own things. You can have right of use. That's all that that title means. You will never own it. Never in this system. In this system, I mean, which is about to end. This one is called Romanus Pontifex. In 1481, now get this, 11 years before Columbus set sail, another trust. Now these three trusts, by the way, in the incipit of the trust, which is the introductory words of the trust, the testament, or the bull rather, it's the bull, the papal bull, the incipit says, for a perpetual remembrance. That's a trust. Right? Now, this one's called attorney. Attorney A-E, that's an A, excuse my writing. Attorney Regis, the Eternal Crown. This is Pope Sixtus, the fourth. Pope Sixtus the Fourth. And this is the second testamentary deed, trust, deed and will, the second crown of the people, which makes people slaves. This is the Commonwealth. The crown, the Commonwealth was born here. You think these are all English things, don't you? No. The Queen serves the Pope. The Vatican is the most powerful entity on this planet. Yeah, 1531, convocation. The third trust. This one takes away your real estate. When you register with your birth certificate, that number is the number of these three Sestui KV trusts. Learn this word. That's the name of your enslavement. That, in Latin, is six. 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 There are three of them. That's six in Latin. That's six. There are three Sestui KVs. Sestui KV, or Setui KV. A lot of people say Setui. That's the Triple Crown. They own and sit on the crown. They are the kings of these trusts, which have taken away your real estate, your personal property, and your soul. This is for baptism, for Catholics. That's why they want baptisms. That's why they go around converting. And that has stolen and deprived us of our real wealth.
An incredible story coming out of the Vatican. Listen to this. The senior Vatican scientist said that he would be delighted if we encountered intelligent aliens and would be happy to baptize them. His pronouncement opens up the possibility of space missionaries heading out to the stars to convert aliens to Christianity.
Pope Francis welcomed an interreligious group from Argentina made up of 15 Jews, 15 Muslims, and 15 Christians. They were on their way back from a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. The Pope greeted each person, some of whom he already knew from his time as Archbishop of Buenos Aires. With such a familiar environment, the Pope improvised a speech focused on brotherhood.
La mayoría sabemos convivir nos resulta más fácil y es un mensaje, ¿no? Un mensaje de que tenemos el mismo Padre en el cielo.
Global corruption, the global syndicate, the bankers. Who are these people? Who are the individuals? Who are the puppet masters pulling the strings? You had mentioned the Jesuits in a previous interview, so I'm intrigued as to know where is the connection to the Jesuit order, as well as through the Vatican and beyond. There's many secret societies in the world. Many people speak of the Illuminati and the Masonic orders, the Order of the Garter, many of these super elite organizations that operate in secrecy. So I know I've named a few already, but if you could help us elaborate on these points, who are the people pulling the strings?
Well, do you remember when there were ghettos and you had something called a Judenrat that were the ones that would draw up the lists of the Jews that were going to get exported the next day? Do you remember how that system worked?
Well, it was a little before my time, but history would dictate what happened in those ghettos. So elaborate, please.
These were traitors to their people who were helping because they thought they were going to save themselves. That's maybe why they did that, but it doesn't matter what their motives were. They were doing the work against their people.
I thought you boys understood. It's business. That's all it is. Now they're going to let us have it good if we just help them. They're going to leave us alone. Let us make some money. You can have a little taste of that good life, too. Now, I know you want it. Hell, everybody does.
You do it to your own kind.
What's the threat? We all sell out every day. Might as well be on the winning team.
Now, think of this as an elaboration on a larger scale, and what we're dealing with actually is humanity and the elite, the secret societies, the Vatican. They're traitors to humanity because the one at the very core that's pulling the strings is a different species.
Welcome to slavery.
They're not the human race. They're called Homo capensis.
So you mentioned this species, an additional species of humans, or...
No, they're not humans. They are so distinct from humans that if they were to mate with humans, their offspring would not be fertile.
Now, are you speaking of the biblical Nephilim is an entity that people have discussed and tried to understand for millennia, and that is the race of offspring of humans and the fallen angels from...
No, these are not angels. These are not spiritual.
Well, the Nephilim themselves were the offspring of the fallen angels and humanity. Is this the same species?
They are not fallen angels. Mm-hmm. They are critters. They look just like human beings, except they have these big skulls. And that is why in the Vatican, you see these crazy meters, is what they're called.
Human livestock, a history of tax farming. The reality of political power is very simple. Bad farmers own crops and livestock. Good farmers own human beings.
What is the Matrix control system? We see a portion of it in the areas of government, military, medicine, finance, media, education, academia, and religion. These institutions engineer our belief systems and way of life. Their hidden architects may include secret societies, elite bloodlines, corporate syndicates, international bankers, government think tanks, and black ops military networks. Some call this the shadow government, the Illuminati, or the New World Order. This social political machinery is what many consider to be the Matrix. But in reality, these things comprise only the outer aspect of the Matrix, the part easiest to see, study, and believe in. They are only the branches, whereas the roots extend deep into the occult, alien, and hyperdimensional realms. To transcend the Matrix, we must understand the parts of the control system that originate beyond the political level of the conspiracy, for they are the avenues through which an immense effort of spiritual warfare is being waged against us. These deeper components include, first, the central brain of the Matrix control system, known by the ancients as the Demiurge. The Demiurge is said to be the soul of the universe. It is the all-pervading energy field that projects matter, energy, space, and time at the quantum level. The Demiurge is a non-physical artificial intelligence that in its original and rightful form fashioned physicality according to the divine will, except it has since broken away from the divine framework and become a parasite upon its own corner of creation, which is the universe we now find ourselves in. The Demiurge has shaped this universe into a cold, deterministic machine, a construct that perpetuates the illusion of linear time, that grinds onward without regard for the consciousness of its inhabitants, and that forces its subjects to live by the law of the jungle. These spiritually suffocating conditions are what allow the Matrix control system to exist. They lead to a mode of living that favors serving self at the expense of others. What was supposed to have been a nurturing womb, a growth matrix for the evolution of consciousness through physical experience, has instead taken on overtones of a spiritual prison. The second component of the Matrix includes all the non-physical beings that have taken after the Demiurge. In a realm of limited resources, there will be those who have developed competition, predation, and survival to a high art. Such beings are spiritually dead and cut off from the divine. They look to the living, such as ourselves, for their source of energy and entertainment. The more powerful ones, whom the Gnostics termed archons, may be viewed as the henchmen of the corrupt Demiurge. Here on Earth, they preside over a network of negative entities that farm us for our soul energy. This network includes demons, parasitic thought forms generated by human suffering and perversion, as well as ghosts working in the service of demons. They are all non-physical predators that roam around and instigate human suffering at every opportunity, mainly to feed off the soul energy released. They are energy feeders, mind manipulators, and tormentors that play us like fiddles if we are not aware. They can orchestrate misleading synchronicities, create accidents and freak illnesses, insert foreign thoughts and emotions into us during lowered states of consciousness, and they can induce schizoid symptoms in the vulnerable. The third component consists of alien collectives that have manipulated mankind in every way conceivable since the dawn of our species. They have shaped our genetics, history, beliefs, and want full control of our planetary destiny. Unlike demons, aliens are physical or quasi-physical beings who possess superior intelligence, psychic abilities, and technology. Within certain limits, their technology allows them to alter matter, energy, space, and time through the use of demiurgic energies. That is why aliens are architects of the Matrix control system. The fourth component is our own biology, which is largely a product of alien genetic engineering over the eons. Our bodies have been designed so that our perception is limited to only the 5 physical senses, and so that our drives are primarily those of the body and ego. It takes nothing to perceive the physical world, and yet it takes everything to reach up and connect with the spiritual world. By default, the odds are already stacked in the control system's favor. We perceive just enough to graze around the cattle farm, but not so much that we easily find a way out. The fifth component consists of empty or programmed humans through whom aliens, demons, and thought forms can work. People who are not in conscious control of themselves are open to control by something else, whether momentarily or permanently. Almost everyone is susceptible to being momentarily influenced when not paying attention. This includes friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, politicians, authors, or celebrities. The ones who are completely empty or deeply programmed are permanent agents of the Matrix. They function as hired clappers for the control system, or as walking mouthpieces for the alien agenda, or they simply act as background characters that prop up the status quo.
And looks down and closes her eyes, or when she closes her eyes, another pair of eyes drop down over the closed pair. It was reptilian. It had like, you know, the alligator crocodile look, and it was like one was looking this way and the other one was like moving all over the place in the room, and I'm staring at her and they both come together and it stares at me, and it was just staring at me, like it was underwater, like a crocodile underwater or something, and you see the eyes or something, and it looked like it was just waiting or something. And I jumped back, and I pretended to laugh with her, like, ha, and I was so scared that I ran out the room.
Oh, yummy. Someone I need to eat. Nice to see you again, Kay.
I am totally convinced for myself that there are extraterrestrials, or what we call, or what have been called by government, EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities, EBE. And these extraterrestrial biological entities are biological creatures, but they have the ability to take on human forms. They can look like humans if they want. There's no doubt in my mind that there's different ones are here from different places in the universe. Some have come from far out, some have come from near. But out there, some of those entities out there are enemies with each other.
Once your brains are reduced to a cottage cheese like mush, we'll scoop them out with a melon bowler and gobble them right on up. Oops. I think I'm drooling a little. Because we're aliens. And that's how we roll.
Imagine this, okay? I lived alone. I was a college student, and I woke up to odd sounds in my apartment. And I thought somebody broke in. I jumped up. I went to go and react, and there were these two small gray alien beings standing in my living room. And their backs are turned to me, and they're going to my bookshelf.
What?
And I'm like,
You're going to your bookshelf?
yes, it was the craziest thing. Never seen anything like these things before.
What were they doing? They were interested in your books?
I had no idea. It was a small little shelf, and I had some doodads on there. I had a little tiny photo album with some family pictures, and they had that in their hands. And I looked at them. I said, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And they had my stuff in their hands and just frozen. They're not answering me. I grabbed my stuff out of their hands and I put it on the shelf. I said, "What is going on? Why are you here?" I hear noise behind me. There were two more in my walk-in closet. They're going through my stuff like a mad person. I mean, just rummaging, rummaging.
They're looking for something.
They were indeed. And so yeah, I saw the two that were in my closet. I remember flicking the light on for there. And I'm like, what? What's going on? And then hearing noise in my kitchen, and see them. I mean, literally one standing on the counter, going through the top cabinets, other ones going through the bottom cabinets, and I'm like, what is going on? And I'm asking them all the same question: who are you and what are you doing here? And they're not saying a thing. They're all freezing like a deer caught in headlights, and their mouths that were originally slits for a mouth, it becomes an O, like, oh, and they're perfectly frozen.
They realize that you see them now.
Yes, and she's moving. She's not paralyzed.
Right. You said you flipped on the light. They didn't react when you flipped on the light?
No, they stayed. They just froze. And now I'm standing in my kitchen. My bathroom door is closed and the light is on. And I'm like, well, I'm not in there. Who on earth? I'm like, really? I flung open the bathroom door, and apparently there was one behind the door. So when I flung the door open, it got hit. It hit the floor. I knocked it to the floor. I didn't see it behind there, and so he's laying kind of along the side of the bathtub, and there's a second creature that's grabbing what I had sitting on the back of the toilet. And this one was different than the others. So this one had like a jumpsuit on. The others, they didn't seem to have anything on. And I grabbed this one by its jumpsuit. It had like a little suspender-like type top. I grabbed it by that. And I said, who are you and what are you doing here? I'm like, I picked it up to my eye level when I'm saying this. I was really frustrated, because adrenaline was pumping. I thought I was being robbed. There's a bunch of kids, and they're aliens. And I'm like, and no one's answering me. And I've just met half dozen of them. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so this one, I'm yelling at it with every word. I'm shaking it. And the one that's on the floor puts his arms up, and he said, "I'm your nephew. I'm your nephew." And I look
What
at
does that
him.
mean?
Oh, this is the funny part. So I look at him. I turn my attention away from the one I have in my hands. I look at this one laying down on the ground. He's got his arms up blocking as if he was afraid I was going to step on him or something. And when he said that, and it's not like I heard his voice. It was like in my head. And I look at him and I watched before my very own eyes, watched him shape shift into my nephew in a
What?
baby blue suit and an afro. My nephew
What?
was almost the same age as myself. And I said, "You're not my nephew. You look like him when he was 10 years old. You know, he's 20 something now." I was like, "What is going on here?" I'm like, "You guys are full." You know, I was really like, "Wow, now you're trying to deceive me?" And so the one that I had in my hands, right? I turned my attention back to him. And this thing, I got a really good look at him, and he was vibrating like a robot that was short circuiting. He was just gyrating, and he's really close to my face because I have him pulled up. And he was not fully gray. He had the bulbous head, but he was flesh colored. His eyes were huge, like the almond shaped, typical gray, but
Yeah.
the eyes were blue and human looking. And he had freckles on his face and little tufts of curly red hair on top of his head. I'm looking at him and he is shaking. He's so terrorized and terrified. I felt like I had just terrorized a child. And I put him back down. I said, "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." I said, "I'm just a little upset. You guys are all in here. No one's talking. This one's lying to me over here." You know, I'm trying to explain to him and to calm him down. I am not kidding you, Aaron. I said, "Did you want a cookie? I'll get you a cookie." And he's scared of me.
Okay,
I'm like, "Poor little thing." You know,
that's
he was
hilarious. Did he take a cookie? I mean, what did he say?
Well, I set him back down, and I think I even patted his head. I'm like, "It's okay, it's okay. I'm gonna get you a cookie." And I went to turn to go into my kitchen and grab a cookie, and the others were at the door watching all of this, I guess. And I mean, and it's weird. Oh, this gives me chills. They were like standing in a V like shape, and and I looked at him. I said, "Oh crap!" I'm like, "What do you know? What did you guys want? You know, type of thing." And they're standing there, and almost like at the count of three, they all leaned forward at me, and almost like a Vulcan mind meld hit me. Boom.
Right.
And I woke up in bed. It was so strange because I had the feeling that they could not control me, and they wanted out.
And they were looking for something, but you never did figure out what
Oh,
they were
yes, I
looking
did.
for. Oh,
Oh,
you
I
did?
did figure it out. Because what I took out of their hands, the first two, was a little photo album of my nephew in that exact outfit when he was 10 years old.
Oh, and he took that and morphed himself.
Into it. Yeah. Yeah. They were looking for ammunition, obviously, against me to use against me. They were looking for anything and everything like it was
Like they
research.
were on, yeah, like they were on a mission to
Yeah.
to really find skeletons in your closet.
Literally, yeah.
Pun intended, but I guess the pun is intended, actually.
Yeah.
Because they were really looking for skeletons in your closet, digging up anything they could to use against you.
What I'm about to show you, as far as I know, has never been seen by anybody in the civilian world. This is imagery of a gray alien that is clustered in the consciousness of a 28-year-old convict who was serving multiple life sentences for murder. He volunteered for our studies, and we used a technique that was initially devised by Tesla, which allows us to capture thought patterns. And it is within the thought patterns that the original manifestation of the gray aliens. What you're seeing is psychospiritual energy, and you can see the movement, manifestation of a gray alien that has formed a parasitic relationship with the subject. Of course, the reason that the government is subverting the proof of alien life is because alien life is actually taken up habitation within most human consciousness, and from there projects the fear reality that many people consider to be everyday life.
And so we came up with our perfect plan.
Crab people.
If you can't beat man, change man.
We've been so conditioned to think that aliens are green creatures that come down in ships and start blasting us, but the reality is far more sinister and horrifying than that. These beings exist within our very language, our very thoughts, our very thought patterns. And I know that's very difficult for some of you to grasp. They can exist inside of you in the form of thought forms, in the form of negative thought forms, and they reproduce themselves via language and your things you say throughout the day.
I might be probably the first white man, Aryan German man, who is admitting something to you. I want to admit today to you that white people originating from Northern Europe, these white people are not really human from this earth like black people are, Indian people are, Asian people are. Yes, they are all humans. And we are the tall whites. Not all of us are tall, not all of us are completely white, but in general, that's what it is. And as some of you may know, the tall whites are not really earthly human, but we're coming out of space, out of another galaxy.
It is no longer your world. This is the future, and humanity is all but extinct. We have been invaded by another species who erase our minds to take our bodies. But there are a few of us left who still fight back.
Mr. Lank, this is Dr. Bennell. I was hoping I could speak with your wife. This is her cell phone I'm calling.
She's asleep right now.
Is everything all right, Mr. Lank?
Everything's fine. Better than it's been in a long time. Wendy's fine now. I'll give her the message you called and she'll tell you herself.
Mr. Lank?
Yes?
If I don't hear from your wife soon, I will be calling back. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You'll hear from her by the end of the day.
It's my husband.
Ben, they can't all be psychotic. What if what they're saying is real? Have you noticed anything?
I have.
What? He seems a little disconnected.
Carol!
759 Sector C.
Carol! We gotta go! We gotta get out of here! We gotta go right now!
Listen to me, Steve.
No, you don't understand! We've gotta go!
Go where?
No, we gotta go! What the hell are you talking about?
Steve, this is important. Go where? That's right. Go where? What happened in your room? Are you listening? What happened in your room is not an isolated incident. It is something that is happening everywhere to everyone. So, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna run? Where are you gonna hide? Nowhere. no one like you left. That's right.
Oh, God.
That's right. That's good. You're listening now. That's very good. Okay, now, I know you're frightened, Steve. I know you're scared. That's okay. I understand that. You're confused. But let me tell you something, Steve. Let me tell you something. All that anger, all that fear, all that confusion, it's gonna melt away. It's gonna go away, Steve. It's gonna go away. You go to sleep. Wake up. It's very simple. In the morning, you wake up. You feel wonderful. We will be together. We're connected. We're close. We're together. More pure. Oh, it's good. Dad. Go. Dad! Come on, let's go to bed, Steve. Let's go to bed.
Get away from me! Get away from my kid!
It could have imitated 1 million life forms on 1 million planets, could change into any one of them at any time. Now it wants life forms on Earth.
There's nowhere to go. Nowhere to hide. We're everywhere.
You don't understand. Your world's gonna end.
Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be. Right now, that may be 1 or 2 of us. By spring, it could be all of us.
So how do we know who's human?
It doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to. But it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it.
I may wear this skin, but I never forget what we are beneath.